Hey everybody, welcome back to Searching for Senpai. My name is Jacob Betts.
And I'm Kane.
Senpai! This is kind of... Notice me, Senpai.
And today we are going to notice Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. This is going to be episode 17 through 20, or part 2, episode 4 through part 2, episode 7, if you're doing it the way that Netflix organizes it.
That's the dumb way.
Oh, are you watching it? You're watching it subbed?
No.
No? Okay.
What's it dubbed?
I was going to ask, because I've never watched it subbed, so I don't know what the characters refer to each other as far as like senpai, kun.
Oh, I don't know.
Like
Yeah, I don't know. This show is definitely
which
meant
is
to
always
be
a
dubbed.
dynamic.
It was meant to be with American voiceover.
Because it's German.
Yeah, but because they're white people.
Mm-hmm. So our first episode today is episode 17. That is just called Cold Flame.
Oh, is that referring to Mustang's cold personality in this episode?
With his super edgelord moments.
I have some lines.
Well, in this episode, Second Lieutenant Maria Ross is being interrogated. The evidence they have is the fact that a bullet was missing from her gun, and a bullet was found in, obviously, well, a bullet was what killed Hughes. It was found there.
You're right. But it's important to note, right, that they're specifically not looking at one of the other eyewitness reports.
Yeah, they don't talk to Barry, who was also there and saw Maria Ross.
I was talking about the other lieutenant.
Oh, you mean Brosh?
Yeah. He's like, I have the report.
And they're going out of their way not to talk to him.
They're going out of their way not to bring it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, like, if you look at it from outside the point of view of anybody, I mean, if you don't know Ross and you just look at the information, you're like, well, she did it.
It's one of those where she has everything except a motive.
Yeah.
She has no reason to kill him.
Yeah,
though
like,
she
well,
was, yeah.
Why would she just
they
run up on him in a phone booth and kill him? There's no sense to that. So, as soon as you look under it, you're like, yeah, it doesn't add up.
Well, Breda goes out of his way to be like, this is pretty weird, right? They're like...
Yeah,
they're going out of their way to make this like happen in like
real
a matter of days.
Yeah. Now, in this episode, not only is she being interrogated, she's also being held. She's in prison. But Barry comes in. They don't explain why in this episode. But Barry the Chopper comes in and frees her, as well as Ling Yao, who's being held.
My favorite.
Yeah?
I love
Oh, by Ling Yao.
That damn illegal immigrant. Took our jobs.
They come out and Barry frees her and Ling Yao, and then she runs into Mustang in an alleyway, and Mustang kills her as vengeance.
Or after they very super conveniently run into Al and Ed.
Yes, and they conveniently run into Al and Ed almost as if the whole thing was planned out. But for the purposes of this episode, that's how they...
Well, I'm saying, no, it's planned for them to run into Mustang, but it's not planned for them to run to Ed and Al.
Oh, right, it's not.
That just happened.
Yeah, it's just plot. But it's interesting that we get that moment with Ed when they see Ross running away from jail, right? It's the first time that they've been like, oh, Lieutenant Ross they read the paper and they're like, well, we gotta figure out what's going on, or she's escaping, we're gonna run to the scene. They see her and she's running away and she's like got this face, she's like about to cry, like she's obviously going through shit and she's like, I have to run for my life, save my life. And she looks at Ed and Al and she's like, how do I even try to break it? She was the one who told them about Hughes' death.
Yeah.
So imagine being Ed and Al. I mean, obviously you would figure it out eventually, but like imagine being them watching the person who told you that Hughes' death, who is the person who allegedly killed him, is running and can't even face you to see you, because in that moment, that would be something that makes me feel like she did it.
Yeah, at that moment you feel super betrayed. You told me about this, but of course that was to distance yourself from this.
Yes.
And I don't know if I can not only trust you, I don't know if I can trust anyone right now.
I think it's a great moment for Ross, because we see in her eyes that she knows that that's what the boys are going to think. And that's why she starts to tear up. And Ross is such a great character in this arc in particular, but in this, as a character, I think she's just super interesting. She's one of the more, I mean, obviously we have these soldiers that are more empathetic than the other ones, and, you know, they're the ones we root for, but she in particular seems to really get people, right? She's the one who slaps Ed. She just gets people, and I think it's a really beautiful thing that they targeted her the same way they targeted Hughes.
Yeah. Now, Second Lieutenant Ross is such an avid rule follower that when Barry comes and frees her, she has a brief crisis about whether or not she even wants to leave. And she gets a little mini monologue that ends with, "Dad, please forgive me."
Yep.
But I love that. I don't know her relationship with her dad, but I also feel like I get exactly
You know
what it
exactly
is.
where that's coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which also, like, one of her decisions is to not just break out of here, but break out of here with the suit of armor that has no body.
Right.
So it's
Yeah. Who's also literally a serial killer.
It's literally the thing you shot that was being, like...
Yeah.
You'd think in the moment of crisis like that, you'd be like, oh, if I held him here, this was the proof.
Mm-hmm.
But it means that she understands what's going on.
Yeah.
If he's willing to free her, like, there's something sketchy going on there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She wants to see it through.
Which then she runs into...
Our favorite character, Mr. Edgelord himself.
Mr. Target all the muscle groups.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mr. I like to play with fire, the Flame Alchemist.
And which to me was like... This wrapped up way too quickly. Way too cleanly, way too quickly. She escapes, Mustang gets revenge and kills her, and all's good and well. I mean, Hughes is still dead, but besides that, all's good and well happened way too quickly.
Yeah, and in the next episode, they make it very clear that Mustang knew what he was doing and actually wasn't going to kill her. But if this episode was going to be straight with that and actually was trying to have Mustang kill her for vengeance, they would have needed at least like one scene wherein Mustang has gained some level of understanding why she'd have a motive.
Yeah.
Because Mustang would not kill her unless he knew she at least had a motive to kill him.
However, we're on episode 17, and we've only seen Mustang a few times, and we know that he's this cold-blooded murderer from, who's part of the Ishvalan War.
Mm-hmm.
We get the explanation from the other officer there of why you sent one of your goons so that you could kill him personally. You could kill her personally.
Yeah.
I would be able to buy this if in the next episode we got that scene afterwards as well. That scene would still have to be there, but I don't necessarily think it needed to be a precursor for what we're seeing. They could use that afterwards as well.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this could have gone one of two ways, and we would still have that moment if you're somebody who hasn't seen the series before. It's blatantly obvious when you have seen the series because, in my opinion, Roy Mustang is not a good actor, and you can see it on his face.
And
like they go out of their way to kind of make you see it on his face.
Yeah, he's trying so hard to cover, like, to do all this stuff, and it's just like,
"What's up, Fullmetal?"
And it makes him, and then
I just murdered some gal.
And if it really went like that, it would be like, okay, this character is absolutely an evil asshole. And there's no sympathy for him.
We can't be sympathetic with him, but we've learned to already be sympathetic with him.
Yeah, so okay, we've already painted good and bad spots on this guy. Yeah. So
there's got to be a reason.
Now
for
it's
the
just
bad
fully
spot.
Evil. No, I can't believe that he's straight up asshole. And then we find out he's not.
Mustang likes to talk in messages the same way that we learned that Armstrong does to him in the funeral scene, where they know they're on the same page, right? Which was a few episodes ago.
I don't remember Armstrong talking to him, so what does Armstrong do?
He
funeral?
He tells him that somebody killed Hughes.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember
After the funeral where he tells him all the information without actually telling him.
Oh, you mean that scene? I thought you were talking about how he talks to Hawkeye on the phone.
No.
Were they using the same code?
No,
that's what you...
But I'm saying that...
No, I do remember that.
But Mustang doesn't... Not only does he do it to Armstrong later on when he's like, oh, there's beautiful women back east. Like, that's a little on the nose. That's a little on the nose, Mustang. Anybody in that room should have figured that out, but nobody did.
Yeah.
But he does do the same thing to Ed in the scene where he just murdered Ross. He's looking at him, he's like, these are what soldiers are. They follow orders, and they don't... He's lying to him. He's like, they don't break the rules.
Yeah.
You do something, and you don't question.
Yep.
And what he's really telling Ed is, you should question everything.
Mm-hmm.
Because stuff's going on that's wrong.
Because this is what soldiers do. They follow orders, they don't ask questions, and you have clearly seen where that can lead.
Yes. And I think it's such an important lesson for him of being like, you need to be questioning.
So it brings us to the next episode. This is episode 18, The Arrogant Palm of a Small Human. In this one, Ed and Alex Louise Armstrong arrive in Reasonable, and then they make a trek to the Xerxes ruins. Mm-hmm. And when they're there, they learn about the story of the Western and the Eastern sages, who are people who come from Xerxes, who then spread alchemy to the east and to the west.
Alchemy and alchemy.
And alchemy.
Which it's, I think, really important to know that one of them is used as a weapon and one of them is used to heal. That is incredibly important.
And also, it was the same person, but two different stories.
Right.
So it's
but one place he taught how to heal, and one place he taught to use weapons. Yeah. That's what I'm pointing. I think that's important.
Or even, I think maybe more interesting is they learned something different.
Right.
From like the same lessons, but they took away different things.
Right.
And it's like a lot of stories of where there's this figure that's in a bunch of different religions. But then you look at it all together, it's like, oh, it's the same person.
Kind of person,
but your religion has shown the view of what you took from that person.
Right.
So they took healing, and Demetrius took war and destruction.
Because because alchemy and alchemy are fundamentally the same thing. It's simply how this tool is being used.
Yeah.
Ruins of Xerxes is mentioned a few times. Like by Ling. I was passing through on the way to Xerxes. Xerxes is something that is mentioned when talking about...
It's like every time you hear it, it's like, Xerxes!
Yeah. And when you've watched the show, you're like, oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, we know where it's... We know what Xerxes is. We know what Xerxes is. I'd like to point out, at the end of the last episode, when Armstrong takes Ed along, he's like, we're gonna go fix your arm. Winry... There's a scene of Winry, and she's like pointing at herself. She's like...
I'm right...
Here. What? It's like, we're going to go fix your arm in your hometown. That's one of my favorite moments.
Man. Oh, yeah. Well, it's one of those where that excuse is so bad, it feels like it was said specifically so that Winry knew nothing, like something was up.
Yeah.
Like, it's so bad, and Armstrong is smart enough to know why
so
it's
in the moment, she's like, I'm right here. But then after he leaves, she's like, something...
I felt like it was important that they left Al in Central. Mm-hmm. You know, they make it a point that the reason they brought Ed out was because they don't want angry little Ed to be messing around. But I don't think that's the case. I think they both could have gone. They wanted to make sure that was found out. But the reason they left Al behind, I think, was on purpose. Just to have somebody...
Yeah, what do you think their motives were?
Just to have some sort of backup there, or to keep Winry safe, or to have some... So that they didn't get lost, so that they're still figuring shit out. Because, I mean, we get Al joining later on what happens in the next couple of episodes, but I think it was a choice on Mustang to keep Al sort of in Central.
That's a
so
good
that
point.
they
I hadn't
don't,
thought of
so
that.
that one of them doesn't leave. Because stuff's still happening in Central.
Yeah.
Right?
It's still a place where you need as many people as possible who are not loyal to the government, or would be willing to be not loyal to the government.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that was done on purpose.
We also learned that the Rockbells were killed in the war after saving lives. Assumedly, it's suggested that they saved Scar's life and he killed them.
Yep.
And
I mean, what else? What other Ishvalans have alchemy tattoos on their
One of the things about this show is it's goddamn coincidences. Who killed
it's a small
the
world,
main
man.
characters? Friends, parents. Oh, it was the guy that they're already facing.
All these fallen refugees. They're about to kill Ed, and he happens to be the one guy that knows the Rockbells.
Also, how many times are we gonna hear it? It's an Ishvalin. How many times? I wrote that down. It's an Ishvalin.
Look, that's just the kind of racism you would expect from these people, though. Like,
no, but none of them are saying it like.
No, not
ew. It's an Ishvalin.
No, not in an antagonistic way, but in a. I don't see anybody that's not white all the time.
I mean, like, if we're going for the parallels, it's like somebody seeing a Jewish person after the Holocaust and be like, it's a Jewish person.
Coming from a place that's that's only white people, like in a small town in Oregon, like there are people like that, and it happens all the time. So that to me just seems like, he should learn better.
Yeah.
But he's not yet. You know? That's just how I feel about that line. I mean, it evoked the same reaction to me, but to me it's like, Come on, Ed. Come on.
This is also, I think this is the first time that they've shown the Ishvalans as having a culture that is much more clearly taken from Judaism.
Yeah.
Because they have a holy land that is clearly Israel.
Till you give it back to us.
Yeah.
Hit the line till you give us back our holy land. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That seems like something that's happening in real life right now all the time.
And Ed actually finds this like old alchemic circle that's like broken that I don't know enough about Judaism, so excuse my ignorance, anyone who actually does, but it looks kind of like it's sort of like a Kabbalah. So it's like, okay, there's some kind of like, you can sort of see the actual things they're drawing from here.
Right. For a second, too, Ed seems to like explain, and I don't know nothing about actual alchemy in real life, but Ed seems to start like piecing, he's like, I wonder what the double-headed lion is there in the sun in that spot. I'm like, oh yeah, the dragon, you're right. And I'm like, okay, so there's like variables in math involved in the actual transmutation circles themselves. And that was interesting to me. Obviously, like, they talk about how he's a bookworm, but it's interesting that they put specifics in there for me to be like, okay, so there's a tangible, like, background to how things work, at least to some degree. And I thought that was really interesting. Because I don't know what those symbols mean in real life. I have no clue, man.
Like the lion and everything?
Yeah.
The double-headed dragon, the face on the circle, which I assume is like a sun or a moon.
Yeah, it was the sun, that's what he said.
Yeah. So that brings us to episode 19. This is Death of the Undying. Now, in this one, we start off the episode where Mustang saves Hawkeye from Gluttony, who's attacking.
Excuse you? Hayate saves Hawkeye, and then Mustang comes and murders Gluttony for a second.
Hayate saves Hawkeye, and then Mustang murders Gluttony.
For a second.
This also has a bunch of new stakes-raising things that happen in it. Mustang and Havoc end up fighting Lust later on, wherein Mustang steals her Philosopher's Stone, which is revealed to be the heart of how she and the homunculi exist, but then it grows back, so he has to destroy the stone to kill her later.
I don't know if you have the title of the episode. It's called Death of the Undying.
Yeah.
Which is... Oh, okay, I didn't hear it. My bad. But I think the Undying part is a big stake in terms of... this is the first time for Mustang and Hawkeye and Havoc and any of these characters that are just... They know some shady shit's happening in Central, but this is the first time they heard there are monsters that we're fighting.
Yeah. The circle of knowledge is starting to expand.
Right, Al's like, oh yeah, it was probably a homunculus, and Mustang's like, what the fuck did you just say? And literally, like, shakes the car, and Barry's like, whoa, fuck, don't hit me. You're like, yeah, I mean, that's a pretty normal reaction to hear that there are people that just don't die. Mm-hmm. Like, Mustang's like, I'm pretty sure I burned his body to the ground.
Yeah.
Which he only did like that because he was attacking Hawkeye. He probably wouldn't want to have murdered something that he had not really seen before.
Yeah.
Instantly like that. If she, like, not knowing that it wasn't a monster, right? Before that moment. Unless they were attacking Hawkeye. In the same vein as Hawkeye later in this episode. I love them. I love the moment where he yells at, is it Fury, to hold the fort, and then Hawkeye then yells at Hayate to hold the fort in the same vein. I was like, oh my gosh, they're so perfect.
Also,
I love them, and they care about each other.
Jacob, what do you think that I thought about when during the fight between Lust and Havoc and Mustang?
Why he couldn't just have a lighter? Because then he just actually pulls out a lighter and uses it to great
It's Havoc's lighter. Mustang just doesn't have one.
I like the idea.
But that's how easy it could be. He could get a tattoo and just carry around some flint.
But he doesn't.
I like the thought that Mustang just never considered having a lighter until this moment. Like, he just literally never thought about
because
it.
I don't think Hawkeye would let him live past it. I think it's an active choice that he doesn't want a lighter on him. I think he likes the flashiness of his gloves.
I like the idea.
Yeah, he likes the flashiness of his gloves and the stupidity that he should have died like 7 times.
Well, what? You mentioned all the time that he just pulls out new gloves all
he
the
just
time.
Has an infinite
He's
amount
got
of
to have a shit ton of gloves because he likes the gloves.
Yeah.
I am always here for somebody being an extra bitch, and Mustang is an extra bitch. I'm a huge
Edgelord,
fan.
man.
I love Mustang.
What's the line in this episode?
Which also, like, a lot of people...
After Hawkeye thinks Mustang is dead in the episode, and she shoots the shit out of Lust and runs out of bullets, and Lust is monologuing. He comes back in, and she's like, "How did you survive?" He's like, "I seared the wound.
Oh,
I almost passed out from the pain."
Yeah, like, why didn't you have to mention that?
Because he's fucking
Yeah, because it's Mustang, but it's like, we don't care.
I love it, man.
And like I said...
Mustang, good to see you're okay. I was a real badass.
Yeah, I killed 7 people on the way in here, too,
I know
if
the
you want
smell
to know.
too
I only
well.
had to kill 2, but like I just made sure I took him out. I wanted to be sure.
And like I said, that boy targeted them muscle groups. He eating probably having a nice plant-based diet, getting all those abs and stuff right.
This is the first time we see him with his shirt off, and he's clearly taking care of himself.
You're a prime candidate
and
for
also,
sacrifice.
I love that, did you pick that up in Ishval? Like, damn.
Jesus.
Bro, coming at his head. Like,
Yeah.
Oh.
Gene Havoc. I've always been a sucker for big boobs.
That was a weird ass scene.
It was weird
that's
just
That was
because...
a weird, that was an uncomfortable scene.
But that's anime, man.
That's anime.
We just have the boy where he's like, I know, I just can't.
Yeah, and you're like, there's a monster right in front of you that you literally just called a monster. Like, literally just called her that, and then now you're like, let's take a moment to give Havoc some shit for a second.
And then in the next shot where Lust comes in, they use so many frames of animation on her boobs.
Oh yeah, like, and then right after Mustang mentions it, they just start moving on their own.
They just want you to know, she's Lust, guys. She's Lust. She is Lust.
See, I actually am always been kind of bothered by the fact that every time the 7 deadly sins are given personifications, which happens in media all the time, every time they do, Lust is a really sexy woman. I would love it if someone said, no, what if it's about somebody who feels a lot of lust?
Well,
and so it's like a nerdy kid.
For me, what makes this less interesting, she looks like a sexy woman, but she is not lusting after sex. She's lusting after blood.
Oh, yes, and I like that too. This is literally just tangentially related.
Right. I agree. I'm just... the reason that this one is interesting for me and not just like...
Also, have you watched 7 Deadly Sins?
Yeah.
Lust is the guy, right? That's like the guy that dresses very skimpily, but he's very like emotionally detached.
Oh, do they do it, but it's a sexy dude?
It's not a sexy dude. He's like emotionally... he's like a robot.
Huh.
Like mentally, he's like a robot. He has like no emotional attachment to
Isn't he
anything.
actually a robot?
I don't know, but I'm always down for a
They're
depiction
like-
of lust that isn't just an excuse to look at sexy ladies. Don't get me wrong, I like sexy ladies too, but like this is always served as an extent of just ogling.
Well, I think that just comes from the idea of what the 7 deadly sins were like.
Also, where is Envy's tattoo?
I don't know if they ever show it. Is it on their foot?
I mean,
wanna
they
say it's on
showed
their
it at
foot.
some point. I just
'Cause,
don't
like-
remember off the top of my head.
Like, think about where's Gluttony's tattoo?
It's on his tongue,
Where's Lust's tattoo?
on her cleavage.
Where's
Wrath.
I don't know.
Wrath's eye.
I don't know how Wrath associates with the eye, but the guy who eats a lot, his tattoos on his tongue.
Yeah.
The hot girl tattoos on his boobs. It's like very.
Is Greed's just on his arm?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
There.
Well, Greed is a dude.
No, we already went over this.
No, not Envy, Greed.
Oh, Greed. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Greed. That's what
Greed
they-
is-
yeah. Greed is on his hand, which is like
Yeah.
Oh, because he's grabbing for stuff.
that's possible.
Oh, you're right. That makes
I
sense.
just thought that like Lust and Gluttony it's very on the nose, like where their tattoos are.
Right.
It's like, hey, I'm about to eat something. Here's my tattoo.
Yeah. I don't know. Is the Ouroboros where the stone is?
It's certainly where it is for lust, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. She's like, it's my heart. And so it's like, okay, does that mean all of them it's the heart? Or...
Well, hers was in the middle of her chest, not like literally where the heart is.
Right.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it does stem to believe that that's where it starts.
Because then Bradley's
building.
is on his eye.
Right, the tattoo is, but is that where the stone is? Like, I don't know.
No, I'm saying, but
this
Yeah.
episode implies that they all come from Philosopher's Stones.
Yes, and it also pretty much explicitly states that the only way to actually kill them is to destroy that stone.
Yeah.
Yeah, or
just use up all the power of the stone by killing them over
and over again because they
but that just takes
Oh.
a
come
long
back to
time.
life.
Because remember,
I guess I assumed that Mustang killed her by destroying the stone. He just killed her by continuously killing her.
He was killing her over and over and over again.
Well,
Yeah, but I figured that was him destroying the stone.
Well,
it's both ways.
Yeah.
You could just if you were just to reach in there and
It's the
grab and
same.
destroy the stone, they die. But basically, by killing them over and over again, you're just using up the power of the stone.
you saw some of the stone, like some of the older the stones that what's his name, the doctor
Marco? Yeah.
has, like they run out.
Yeah. Or like when she dies, she disappears, and then the stone falls. Then the stone disappears.
Oh. I guess I just sort of assumed that you had to destroy the stone just from a thematic perspective, because then if you want access to the stone, you'd have to kill the person with it. So if you want to, in order to kill this person, you have to give up the reason you would be hunting them, equivalent exchange.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's smart. That makes sense.
But yeah.
But
it's
I mean,
like,
they are the stone essentially. So you're right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
in
Oh,
the same
you
way.
destroyed either way.
Yeah,
So
you-
actually, you know what? I'm going to rephrase that.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I really like how this is.
Yes.
Because no matter what, you are going to use up that stone. Either you destroy the stone or you use it up so it's gone.
Yeah.
So in order to kill these people, if you want access to a stone, you have to kill them. If you kill them, you lose access to the stone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Equivalent exchange.
Exactly. I mean, unless you kill a shit ton of people to make a new one.
Yeah.
That's just for you. You know. But these ones that walk and talk, you know.
I want to talk about Barry the Chopper. He dies in this episode.
What a great.
which
He dies with himself.
But he dies with himself.
It was a great arc for him.
I love how horny he is to kill his own body.
yeah.
Like, he's just down to rip himself apart.
I feel like Jacob would like Hisoka just as much as I do.
But like who?
From Hunter x Hunter.
Hunter x Hunter.
Yeah.
Which, like, I don't know why I thought I had a memory of him being like in the show later on, but no, that boy done.
I think Barry the Chopper might be the best serial killer in fiction. Because
I agree.
I love that he wants to just kill people. They don't rationalize it. They don't try to like make it kind of sexy. It's very straightforward. This man is evil and he is killing people. And he's charming, yes, but that doesn't in any way forgive how evil he is.
Yeah,
and they
like-
never forget that.
No, and he's like willing to just like make a deal with Mustang.
Yeah,
he's like,
and-
I'm willing to not kill people.
Yeah, Mustang's
If
like, hey, you can't kill
help me out.
Yeah, you can't
Like,
kill any innocent people, and he's just like, all right, bopping him on the head, knocking him out, knocking him to the side.
He has like a weird sense of like you're right, that charming aspect of him is like he's this weird sense of like, yeah, I'll follow through with my end of the deal for now.
Yeah, well, he's very clearly motivated, which is very nice. You understand his motivation. They're all very, very clear. They're evil, but they're clear.
Yeah, especially when he sees that it's his own body, he's like, that's like the pinnacle for him. So he's
Yeah.
like, why am I even going to bother chopping up these other people? Like, I have like...
Because to him, it's who gets the opportunity to chop up their own body.
Right. I mean, he feels like he'll be able to kill, you know, the homunculus if he works for the other guys, right? He says that line. He's like, I thought it'd be fun to switch it up, try to kill you guys because these guys clearly want to kill you. So might as well for a little bit. I also think he feels like he'll eventually get his freedom if he works against the people who are keeping him captive.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he was killing for those people and that was fun, but he'll be able to kill whoever he wants if he works with the other side.
And this episode also then adds a ticking clock to Alphonse's story. Because Barry says, oh, I guess sometimes somebody else's soul just can't live in somebody else's body. So Alphonse goes, oh, crap, can my soul live in this body that wasn't
Which to me was another quick existential crisis that's wrapped up really quickly when he's just like, you know what?
Well, that's because Al...
Anybody could die at any time.
I mean, that's because Al is very rational. He's a rational thinker.
He has these crises, but he kind of works
Yeah,
through
like
them.
20 minutes later, he's like, well, I mean, you guys could get sick right now and die. You could walk out and get hit by a car and die.
I would argue that Al is smarter than Ed.
Oh, definitely.
When you're talking about, like, even the book smart stuff and, like, just problem solving.
You can make an argument for book smart stuff for Ed being smarter, but hands down, Al is
As a person,
unquestionably the
he's-
wiser person.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think that, and at his age, I think that's important for his character development. Like, yeah, he had that one moment where he was being young, but he already went through that shit. So now when something pops up, he's like,
Yeah.
all right, I already went through that fucking major crises. So, You know.
Well, and what I really want to talk about with Al, they've brought this up a couple times in the show with Ling Yao and
Long
with,
Yao.
with Long Yao, with Ling Yao and with Greed.
Oh,
They
Greed.
both argued that they would prefer Al's situation because that would be immortality. And I want to talk about that a little bit because Al thinks that isn't immortality. Winry is very defensive for Al. And
Right.
I just want to talk about what you guys think.
Frankly, I think Ed had the same suspicion that we find out that Al really didn't consider before. I think the reason the stakes for Ed finding their bodies back for all of this series is because Ed isn't sure how long Al's body's going to last in that suit armor.
He doesn't
He doesn't
know
know shit about
Yeah.
that magic that he just created. Like,
Well, he said that like almost nobody's done this.
Yes.
It's hard to do.
yeah. And so, you know, it's interesting, and I think at that moment, right? I mean, yeah, I think that would for Ling in Ling's world, I think that is appropriate for him to want that.
And it's also, what are you trying to be? Because Ling wants to be immortal so he can take power and, like, not even in a very, like, bad sense. I mean, they don't paint him as somebody who, he's going to take power and start ruling over the land with an iron fist.
No, but it's still
It's just a greedy reason.
Yeah, like it's still not. It's not altruistic. It's still
Yeah,
it's
it's
very
a greedy,
greedy.
shallow reason. So he's like, yeah, I'll be immortal if I don't have to eat and stuff like that.
Which is why Rinri gets upset, because it's like, well, you're not thinking about...
But somebody like Winry, who's living a grounded, I mean, it's not as regular now, but fairly regular life, is like, well, I can't do regular things.
Yeah.
With people.
Because
and
it's-
Al himself, like...
Yeah. Like, she sees Al, he's like, he doesn't sleep, he can't eat with us, he
Yeah,
could barely fit in a car if we want to drive somewhere. Like, there's just all these little things.
and I think it's interesting that they don't really talk much about Al's opinion on this. I know Winry's opinion on this backward and forward.
Okay.
Winry thinks that Al doesn't get to eat and that he doesn't get to sleep. Whereas Greed and Ling Yao would say he doesn't have to eat. he
Yeah,
doesn't
have to
sleep.
and get to, yeah.
And I think Ed would agree with Winry. He doesn't get to
Yeah,
sleep.
he has a list of things he wants to.
I think
things he wants to
adorable.
eat.
And Ed, well, right, they're brothers. They know a lot of each other too. Ed, I think, understands it a little bit more, not having an arm and not having a leg. Right? Yeah, he's got metal ones. But if you talk to any patient that's gone through any sort of like prosthetic, losing a limb, you know, like those pains, there's a lot of trauma there.
That's another question. Does he have ghost pains?
Right.
he has
Does he have a
attached
full
nerves?
body pain? Like
Does he ever feel that he has a
that
body?
he misses the, you know, that
Yeah.
he's the inside and not the
'Cause
shell that he is.
There is a moment where he's like crying, and I don't know if it's just because because it's a TV show and there has to be somebody acting it, but he like sniffles.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just somebody had to record the voice and that's how the human body works is they sniffle, or if that's supposed to be in the show. But I just noticed that when he cries,
Right, you're
also-
he's there's just a tiny little. But it's like, that could just be somebody had to record that. It just has to happen.
Yeah, but also, crying has a lot of emotional weight to it that also is attached to us physically. So even if we didn't have our
Call it
bodies,
inside out.
yeah, but even if we didn't have our bodies, I think we would still sniffle and hunch over, and even if we didn't have to, we'd still do it because it's just tied to us. We're used to it.
Especially
Right.
in anime where you get the super heavy physical pain that somebody has when they cry.
Right.
Like that always happens. Somebody gets told something and they literally
Yeah.
it's like, all right, man, that's
We don't really get to hear it until the last episode of this podcast, episode 20, because Al does say, he's like, it's because everybody treats me like a human. I am still a human. I know I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be. Like, I'm not... Right, what does Ed say? We can talk about the next episode in a second, but he's like, you confirm... You two have memories that I don't, which means that Al is real.
Yes, that's a good point.
Right? So Al himself knows he's real. He's confident he's real. Right? And at this moment, knowing that he's real, I think was harder for him to deal with in, the last few episodes of the show. Even though he seems more confident, he seems more like less snivelly than he was when he was having that existential crisis when he first sees Barry. Now he's like, I can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I am lonely at night. Like, everybody treats me like a human, and I'm not one.
Yeah.
But I am one.
Because, I mean,
And I want that back.
besides the very initial reaction of people seeing him, they treat him absolutely normal. I mean,
they literally show you all the, like, sweet moments with faces and stuff through that.
because, I mean, of
that
course,
moment.
no matter how nice of a person you are, it's going to be weird the very first time you see a hollow suit of armor.
For sure.
But after that happens, everybody's like, oh, hey, what's up, Al?
But that being said, you would most likely notice a hollow suit of armor. But Al is such a good human being at being an empathetic human being that people connect to. He's so good at being a human that even though he is a hollow suit of armor, people don't notice right away. Unless they spar with him or they're up close and they're like, or they see the head fly off.
Yeah. At most, they just assume it's a guy maybe wearing a suit of armor because he has a lot of humanity to him.
Exactly.
Which I'm getting sick of him getting his head knocked off and people, and that being the way people, it's like, how many times are we going to roll this one now, guys?
Every time.
Now, I support Al's quest to get his body back, and I think that's awesome, and I'll never try to tell him that his feelings are wrong about that, because, like, yeah, I get it. I totally get it. But I've thought about it, and I was like, you know, if this were my situation, I think I'd be down. I'd be down for immortality. You're not having to sleep, not having to eat. I could understand it.
I connect the most with Ling, and
Yeah.
I would crave for that.
Yeah, like I would
That'd
never.
be something I unaltruistically would be like, I'd want that.
Yeah,
never-
I would like that because I would like to be alive and I like to read every book and watch every movie and think of all the time you have now.
You've learned so much.
Yeah, but I get it, and I totally get why Al wants his body back because eating and sleeping are amazing.
Me, no, I'm complete opposite.
Yeah.
It's a finite experience of just being alive. And you only got so much time, man.
Right.
I mean, it is cool. Yeah, I can read every book I ever want to read, and I can see goddamn Black Panther 37. Like, yeah, but
But you think that there's an inherent.
and it's not even outwardly like, it's not even that I don't want people to look at me as like a suit of armor or some inanimate thing. It's inwardly of just being a person and being.
There's an inherent
what you
benefit
are.
to mortality.
Honestly, I think that has a lot to do with the themes of this show in general, and that mortality and humanity do not exist together. You can't be an immortal power and human at the same time. Like, the human experience is, like you're saying, is finite.
Even though I really like love a lot of immortal characters,
Right.
like if you watch Seven Deadly Sins, like Bond's like my favorite character. Love Deadpool.
Right.
Before the Deadpool craze.
That's true.
But you think that with this presented to you, you appreciate mortality enough that you'd want to keep things as were.
Like, give me like Wolverine.
Right.
Like, I'm immortal.
Oh,
I'm immortal for a period of time.
Add another 100 years, and then that'll be it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. That's not me, but I can appreciate and understand that because, like, yeah, no, I understand the trade off there, and that's a really big deal.
And I do think that is what this show is trying to tell us, is what you're saying. I do think that is a major theme that we're seeing more and more, especially in the next episode, in episode 20.
Yeah, there is one thing about Al that really would bother me about being in that suit of armor, and that is that he can't heal because a suit of armor can't heal. You have to get Ed to do the alchemy to fix you. Yeah, and that would be scary.
Not anymore. Because he can clap now. He just needs the material.
Unless his
Unless his arm
gets
comes
knocked off.
Yeah, but still, it's just tiny. But every time like Barry getting the hole in his hand, that hole's now there forever.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that brings us to the final episode of this episode, which is episode 20. I think I said the word episode more times in that sentence than
Episode.
before. Episode. But this one's called Father Before the Grave.
Otherwise known as episode Fuck You, Hohenheim.
This is the episode where Hohenheim actually shows up. Ed meets him, and Hohenheim makes
That's the whole episode.
That is the whole episode, actually, yeah.
You're right.
Hohenheim makes a big speech to him about how you didn't burn down this house because you wanted to
Right off
move
the
on.
bat.
You burned down this house to cover up your mistakes.
burned it 'cause
minute
you
of
a
the episode.
bitch.
He's like, you ate my son.
Bitch.
Like,
Yeah.
it's like, whoa. Or maybe that's just like his fatherly experience. Like, I was like, oh fuck.
Also, when he says something about you burned down my house, all right, nah, bitch, you left. All right, I don't want to hear that part. He specifically said
He
my
says
house.
mine.
He says
Like, no,
my,
motherfucker, you left
and
us.
he doesn't
Don't
say
hear
my
that
house. He says my home, which have two completely different. Because house implies that it's a like
Place.
object that he owns. Home implies that it was personal.
Yeah.
But to me, I'm still like, motherfucker, you left. Like, I
Yeah.
don't wanna
How is this so personal to you? You left and now you're trying to claim ownership of it. This is our house and we made this decision.
Right.
But at the same time, Hohenheim has an almost disturbingly accurate point in that it's
He's
true.
right.
He's right. They weren't trying to move on. They were trying to cover up a mistake.
And Ed knows it.
Yeah.
And that's the whole arc for him. And he's like, son of a bitch, the motherfucker. I get it. I know that feeling really well.
Yeah.
Of being like, fuck, you're right. God damn it.
It's one of those like, Hohenheim, you're right, but you're an asshole.
Yeah.
Like you're an asshole, but you're right.
The line in the episode, right? The plot was that thing that they brought back, even Trisha.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it turns out it wasn't. Panaka and Ed go and dig her up, and it doesn't have the same bone structure or the same hair color.
There's a beautiful, in that scene where they're talking about it at the table, he sees the dog around the corner, and then Hohenheim looks to the hallway. So Hohenheim knows that Ed is behind the corner, and then he says that out loud on purpose. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he knows, which I think is incredibly important. Like in the beginning, yeah, he's an asshole for telling him basically the truth that Ed needs to hear in the moment, and he also says something that's important in the moment so that Ed would dig her up later to sort of find out.
Yeah.
Because he knows Ed for some reason. He understands. He's like, oh, that's me when I was a kid. He says that line, right? Mm-hmm. So he knows how Ed's going to respond to hearing that statement. So he doesn't just say it to Grandma. What's her name?
Panaka.
Rockbell. Yeah, Panaka Rockbell.
He doesn't just say it for conversation.
Wait, just a second. Quick pin. Is she a Rockbell? She's a Rockbell.
Yeah,
right?
she's
She's
the
Winry's grandma.
Or
She might be the mom's mom.
Yeah.
No. She says my son and his wife. So
She's the Rockbell.
Yeah, she's a
My son, that's
Rockbell.
right.
But I'm sorry for interrupting. You were saying?
No worries. They're having that conversation, and he's not just saying that for the conversation between them and so that she gets curious. She's saying it out loud so that Ed hears because he notices the dog go around the corner. And I love those little subtleties in the show. And I assume in the comics, the panels reveal that for you as well.
Also, why does the dog not like Hohenheim?
I think that's important.
He growls at him. I mean, we've never seen the dog meet somebody it doesn't know. Mm-hmm. But the dog just sitting there out there growling at him, and it's like...
Well, it does say
what is up with him?
It does say one definite thing. Maybe there is more backstory behind that, but it says one thing for absolute certain, and that is it does definitely mean he doesn't know Hohenheim. So it really drives home that Hohenheim has not been here in a very long time. This dog views him as a stranger.
You see that picture with Pinocchio and him.
Oh, the one he pulls off the corkboard?
No, not the picture of his family of Grandma Rockwell.
Oh, yeah, that one. The other one.
She's not old in that picture.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks exactly the same.
But I was thinking even of a larger scale is, never mind that he's a stranger, just, how animals can feel things sometimes. Why doesn't that dog like him? But the dog won't attack him or anything, but the dog goes sit.
The dog doesn't do this to any other strangers. It didn't do it to Mustang. It didn't do it to any other strangers in the show.
And it's just the dog is like, hey,
I'll back you up.
That's true. I hadn't thought of it. You're right.
Yeah.
But also, Panaka even says, in the dialogue, you haven't changed at all. And it's been like 15 odd years.
But then it's been 15 years and he hasn't changed. But then you look at that picture and she is young in that picture. Mm-hmm. She is not a grandma in that picture.
So put those two things together. The dog gets suspicious of him and he has
that's all we get.
15 years?
That's all we get. And then it's like, bye.
And he's gone.
And let's also put together a couple other things here.
Right.
This episode does not explicitly state why Hohenheim came back right now.
Yeah, because he comes back for like a night.
Yeah, he comes back for one night, inspires Ed to go dig up the body, and then leaves.
I'll argue, it does explain. He tells Panako that she should leave.
Oh, yeah.
He coming to warn his friend that she should leave the country.
Oh, I guess I just meant explicitly so, but I thought it would have more to do with Ed. But I guess you're right.
Yeah,
I think
he comes
Ed,
to tell his friend, his longtime friend, that they've made it very clear that they have a different relationship than he does with anybody else.
because as far as we know, Ed being there is a coincidence.
Yeah.
As far as we know, he doesn't know that Ed was going to be there.
Yeah.
But even that's another weird factor about the character is that we haven't seen him and he doesn't know. Like, we can obviously we seeing the whole story and we see that shit's about to happen. But this guy comes from outside and he's like, "Hey, you should leave. Some shit's about to go down." And you're like, "Wait, how does
a lot of
shit's about to go down?"
people are in trouble.
But even with that, we don't know why he's warning her to leave.
No.
Clearly something is going on, and Hohenheim is privy to it that no one else is. He has information.
Yeah.
He seems to magically know that Trisha didn't ever come back, and that something's about to hurt Rosenbull.
One more clue we do know about Hohenheim, however, is that he is an alchemist.
Yes.
And he is one of the best alchemists based off of how fast the boys learned in terms of just the materials they had in their house and things to look up in their house.
Also, it was very obvious who the Sins were talking to in the little underground layer. When the Sins were talking to the leader in the underground layer, they didn't really
the father?
Yeah, they didn't hide really who he was.
Not really. I mean, like, I have suspicions, but, like, they sort of tried.
They've got a similar design for sure.
Yeah, but it's...
Like, in terms of shape. But,
Yeah.
But the voices aren't the same.
Yeah, but they showed a shadowy dude with the same shaped face, beard, and long blonde hair.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I figured, but it's also...
It could be his dad. Like,
yeah,
there's a lot of, like,
but it's like, it doesn't tell you, oh, that's the same exact person, but it's like, our main character's dad looks like what looks like the evil bad guy.
It could be the same person. There could be multiple Hohenheims.
It could be
he
like
doesn't
a,
age, so
could be a Jekyll and Hyde thing.
Well, he doesn't age, so he's almost definitely a homunculus. So is it that there's multiple Hohenheims? I don't know.
It just brings up question more and more. It makes the question bigger and bigger. Who the fuck is this guy?
Mm-hmm. All right,
we know he's Ed's dad, but who is this person?
At this point of the show, right, we know that the government's fucked. We know that there's a plan going on there, and that the homunculus are involved with the government because of the Fuhrer, Bradley. The biggest mystery at this point, we just found it. Like, he just walked in and was like, "Yo, what's up?" and then left. And we're like, what the fuck?
Like, you just have all these bits of information that don't even, like, attach to each other, and it's just like...
Right.
I have no clue who this guy is. I mean, he's the main character's dad, and he's still alive, so there's gonna be some weight to him. But who the fuck is he?
I'd like to talk about the biggest takeaway from this episode for me.
Yeah.
Which was all three, Ed, Al, and Izumi, finding out that the thing that they brought back was not
What they wanted.
Not the person that they were bringing back. Like, it was not the soul of the person they were bringing back. It was not the body of the person they were trying to bring back. Mm-hmm. It was something else.
Yeah.
And for all of them, it relieves a pain that nothing else could.
Yeah. Because they find out they didn't kill them twice.
Exactly. Finds out that they didn't...
Or they didn't kill them a second time. Neither one of them killed either one the first time. They were both...
they didn't make them
suffer
this
a second
creature
time.
and suffer. Yeah. And all of that gives them a sense of relief.
Yeah.
It also inspires Ed an understanding of some incident in the truth that he can get Al's body back. He understands that the soul that is Al is tangible.
Yeah. And they go and meet the truth again, or at least have a little flashback to it, and he has his arm and his leg. So that means his arm and his leg didn't just disintegrate and turn into particles and turn into other things elsewhere.
Right.
They literally are still constituted the same way. They're just in a different place.
Right. Right. Wherever the truth is. Like. Yeah. It hasn't died. Like because they have it. Right. Mm-hmm. It's not in the earth. It hasn't just hasn't gone. It hasn't decapitated and been with the energy that's still alive. Right. This and Al's soul is still here. So the body has to be where they left it. Right.
Yeah.
That's what Ed's thought process was. And
and the thing they brought back had a male pelvis, so
right.
it's probably pieces of Al that are switched around in there more than anything else.
Right.
It's by Al mixed with whatever the heck else they put in there to try to make her.
Like they mentioned that he saw Al saw Ed through the eyes of that thing.
Yeah, because his soul tried to occupy that body for a little while, and they
Yeah.
said it couldn't.
Right.
Also, I literally just put together that Bradley had that ominous thing he said to his son about maybe you can help me sometime, and it was so like, oh crap, he's gonna kill his son. I don't know why, but he has something in store where his son's gonna die. And
Bradley is that guy. Dude.
Yeah.
He is that dude.
Well, yeah, and they make that very clear that he's being very ominous, but
And he's in the shadows when they kill Lust.
yeah,
And he's sitting back there and he has a sword out. And then he just walks off. He doesn't say anything. And so you don't know necessarily what he was about to do and why, whatever just happened, why he didn't do anything.
but also they keep talking about Ed being a good sacrifice, and his dad is definitely a homunculus. So there's something going on involving sacrificing people's kids. They haven't explained what it is, but I'm excited to find out what.
Yeah, but they
that
also
is.
mentioned Mustang as a sacrifice.
Yeah.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. When she's taking off the gloves and
She specifically says, I've read this written down. Where are you?
like she's regretful on that. Oh, I have to kill you now because
You
you're
are
too
a prime.
deep.
Maybe they just
Yeah.
need really good alchemists.
You are a prime
Right.
candidate for sacrifice.
Oh, interesting.
She says it to Mustang specific. It's why she kills Hughes and doesn't kill Mustang.
Mm-hmm.
It's when they know that Mustang is trying to figure shit out.
Because for some reason they need
has-
really good alchemists.
It's why the Fuhrer King Bradley doesn't kill them after they found too much in the third laboratory.
Mm-hmm.
It's
You know?
like, yeah, they're getting dangerous, but it just has too much worth.
It's too
That
much
we
potential.
need to keep him alive until he tips over the edge, and we can't stop him at all. But we need to give him every chance we can to keep him alive.
Same with
'Cause we need him.
Same. She says, I don't want to have to kill 2 sacrifices today. When she's talking to Al as well, so Al is also a sacrifice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to find out what their plan is because it involves talented alchemists dying.
Right.
All right. Well, that wraps it up. Any of you guys have any final thoughts?
This is where the story starts to get interesting for me. In terms of the bones for us to chew on are finally here. The exposition's done. We're finally getting the mystery. This is where the show should start. If we're talking about like the big main plots and stuff, this is where the cool government conspiracies are happening. Like, I'm ready. I'm ready for what happens next.
Well,
Because I'm that guy and I'm watching it twice, they never explain how they get the dental records.
Right.
that's right.
Oh, right.
I forgot about that.
Like
Entirely.
he literally says, "Yeah, I'll handle it," and then he explains every other single detail of the plan, and then it's just like, if somebody would be like, "Hey, what about the dental records?"
There's only one
is the doc-
explanation for this, and that is
the doctor's in on
that Mustang and Ross made out a lot. And he is infinitely familiar with the map
Based
of
off
her
of his
teeth.
tongue.
Yes, he was able to find the curvature of her teeth and create new dental
Which
records.
implies
But-
that he had to lick the corpse that he
But-
had made
Just to be
But-
sure.
create the new teeth.
But he specifically mentions when he's about to heal Havoc that I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. But this Philosopher's Stone gonna help me, but I don't know what the fuck I'm doing about healing people.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't know how to. It's just a huge thing that they mention, and they just, we're just gonna put that in the cupboard in the back. No, don't talk about that again.
I think it has to do with the doctor. Because the doctor goes out of his way publicly in front
Which-
of
You're
everybody.
right.
Yeah.
Mustang had to make out with the doctor
You're right,
to
right.
get him on his side.
Well, no,
Yeah.
I mean, in that scene, the doctor goes out of his way to be like, "You're a cold,
You're an animal.
Like, and
You're
he's just
a
like
bitch.
sitting there, and everybody else is like, "Oh yeah, that must be true."
Oh, and he's sitting there like, I don't give a fuck. I killed her. I can do it again.
I'm like, this has to be. This
So it's
has
like
to
the
be
doctor
something.
must have been the doctor's in on it.
Has
Hey,
to-
There's
Ed,
no
Al,
other
why don't you
way.
revive this one so I can take her out once more?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I'll burn a bullshit corpse. I don't care.
Oh, and yeah, one more thing. This is the first time we get to see Mustang's team work together.
Oh, yeah.
so well. We see Gene Havoc, as an espionage soldier. That
I didn't even remember
great.
their names up until this episode, and then I felt like I knew all of them.
We've got Fury, who's on communications, talking to everybody. We have the gray-haired guy.
I know all their names.
We have Breda, who knows exactly how to gather everybody and get everybody, and then we have Hawkeye. Who's
Also,
the best.
maybe they're just really early in medicine, but what self-respecting doctor doesn't know the difference between fucking human meat and pork?
That's pretty sure he is.
So the doctor,
like I feel like
the
he's
doctor gotta be
None
in
of
on
these
it.
questions that can't be answered by an explanation involving Mustang making out with somebody.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I
He
think
made
that
out
was
with the
Mustang.
butcher that sold him all
What did
that.
you say? APAC?
Oh, that man, he hits
Yeah,
all the
he's
muscle
hot, man.
groups.
He's hot.
He works on his upper and lower abs.
Look, not as hot as Armstrong. I'm not gonna lie, but he's there. He's there.
Also, this is the point at which the original and the Brotherhood diverge. They just diverged for me.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't talk too much about the original while we're recording this. At least I try not to, because I want this to be more or less a podcast about Brotherhood. But if you're listening and you, like me, have also been watching the original, I'm going to be watching 2 episodes of the original for every 4 of this, and then they should end around the same time.
Okay.
Just in case anything interesting comes up or interesting
Yeah,
parallels.
there could be things that we could talk about for sure. Like, I mean, I can't mention them now because you're not there yet. But
Yeah.
there's certain characters that are just like, wait, what?
yeah.
So far, actually, I've really liked the original, for what it's worth. I can end my opinion there, because, again, this isn't a podcast about the original. It's a podcast about Brotherhood.
I don't remember disliking the original series. I just don't remember it.
I mean, it came out.
This
in, like,
series I remember.
2003.
So,
Well, all right. We will see you guys next week with My Hero Academia.
Go beyond.
It was almost, yeah, it was like... And for now, we'll bid you adieu. Full Metal Alchemist.